Sometimes the answer is bullets. Lots of bullets. Reginald here. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have a bad habit of shooting hordes that I do not need to shoot. I don't even have a good reason, it's just fun. Well, lucky for all of us, there's a new ability in town that lets me do just that whenever I want without spending a lick of ammo. And these guns are the perfect fit for the job. Let the bullets fly. Purpose in kit. Mid-ranged multi-tools that are useful for anything that isn't too big, unless you take the right buffs. These work equally as sidearms for melee builds and ranged mainstay weapons for ranged builds. The Dual Autopistols are remarkably versatile weapons with solid base damage that competes with braced autos and an impressive rate of fire. The Hive Scum talent tree has a number of ways to turn these things into absolute beasts and powerful blessings. These can be even tap-fired in 1 to 3 round bursts for long-range targets with limited fall-off, but they're really meant for close wet work. Basics. These pistols have hipfire mode, which features built-in run and gun, a more accurate braced fire mode while holding alt fire, and a special action which is this mostly pointless bash. Together, these akimbo blazers have a quite substantial ammo count, though the exact number is in flux. There is only one mark at this time. The reloads have 2 stages, but often feel slow, so you might have to use them. Without the right talents and stims in play, these do pretty much nothing to carapace, but are quite adequate into every other target. Real quick, I have a tutorial going live for every weapon on Hive Ganger, build guides for high difficulty content, and a bunch of other great content as well. So take 1 second and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment to please the Emperor. Thanks. Build recommendations. Here are the dual autos I have selected after many Solo Damnation and Auric games and Havoc 40 games. Modifiers. The ideal stats distributions are 80s in everything except mobility, and this class just does not suffer in any way for lower mobility on the weapon because of the mobility buffs from its talent tree. Perks. For the glorious dualies, there's really no reason I can find to run anything but flak and maniacs, unless you're really trying for boss damage, I guess. Even into Reapers, the flak damage still hits quite hard on body shot versus headshots for unyielding, so for me, why fight this gun spray and pray tendencies when you can just hold the trigger down at chest height on a Reaper and let the guns handle it. Blessings. Let's talk about blessings. Like my other videos, I'm going to rank order these. S tier blessings. Frankly, there's 2 best-in-class blessings here, and while I am open to arguments, my experience so far has been pretty much these win. So let's just lay it out. Blaze Away and Pinning Fire. Unlike the stub autos, this thing has enough stagger power to actually build stacks quickly of Pinning Fire, and it doesn't take that much mag to start getting the benefit from Blaze Away. You're going to be mag dumping with this anyway, so you might as well take advantage of both of these. A tier blessings. Powder Burn. Pinning Fire, I think, is easier to stack, but this is still a great option if you prefer a more suppression-focused build on the weapons. That may make sense considering this class is extremely susceptible to getting ranged down unless you are running a Desperado build, and even then there is downtime. B tier, Breaking Fire. This class does have the ability to reduce aggro, so there's space here to run this and get behind targets, especially in Desperado. Also, you could probably dumpster the odd Beast of Nurgle this way. There is, however, a difference between wowie neat and this is good and reliable, and just like with the stubs, it's the former, not the latter. Speed Load. I feel like this weapon has pretty poor reloads and could genuinely benefit from a blessing improving its reloads. But are you really going to sacrifice Blaze Away and Pinning Fire for that? Well, ultimately I wouldn't. C tier, Inspiring Barrage. I think this is fine if you're a rookie. Otherwise, I would probably pass. At least on this class, even if you can regenerate the toughness, it's not like you get to keep it past 1 or 2 hits. Terrifying Barrage. I wouldn't run this unless I was running Powder Burn, I think, but it could have a role as a suppression tool to keep Reapers and Gunners busy ducking instead of mulching me. But this would only make sense on a melee build because Desperado builds are already immune to range damage. F tier, Sustained Fire. No. Run and gun. Unlike the dual stubs, this offers limited advantages. The gun already has built-in sprint hipfire. That's half the reason you take this blessing. I will say the accuracy and damage do exist as additional buffs, but I don't think you need them on this gun in this format. Key breakpoints. It's gonna be weird trying to do breakpoint testing for a gun that shoots 9 bazillion bullets. Instead, let's look for time to kill as a key identifier. And in my experience so far, what I've already selected nets you the best. There's really nothing much I can comment on here. You can do Reapers in pretty quick. You can do pretty much every target in pretty quick. It's harder in Havoc, of course, than in an Auric demo, and if you can maximize for crit, you can get some very substantial damage outputs. So keep that in mind as you're going through your builds. Crit can be very reliable with long crit chains on this. Weapon ranking. Okay, so normally I try to compare the weapons to other marks in this set, but that doesn't exist here, so instead I will try to talk to where these weapons land in the metagame. I'm doing this for all of them. Now I know after these guns come out, we're all going to be refining the power of these tools in new and exciting ways. That has happened every time, but in this case I have tried builds both with Vultures and Chemist as the keystones, with every range node I could afford, and usually in Desperado builds, but also in melee builds. And I've certainly tried my best to break these bad boys in terms of like making them as nasty as possible. And stims are also a confounding factor here too. These guns are generally bad into armor, but then you can get huge crit chains and massive rending modifiers from talents and stims, so the question starts to be instead, is there anything on this class that is actually better for a ranged weapon? Well, at time of writing, as a main weapon for a ranged build, I'm not so sure I've found anything. Maybe the double barrel, but I haven't tested that personally, though Khan did run one in a game I played with him in Havoc, and he seemed to like it. So then maybe the question can be, what is it these guns do for the class that nothing else does? Well, frankly, they're just the strongest, highest rate of fire mid-ranged choice from a raw kill potential perspective. They're very competitive with braced autoguns for raw damage, and with the Vrax infantry autogun for reasonable accuracy at mid-range. They have the output to compete with both, really. I would say that they overshadow the ES Autopistol entirely, and there's really nothing not to like. You can just kind of hold down the trigger and kill and kill and kill and kill. So when ranking these, I think I have to give them probably an S rating. At least within the balance of the class, there isn't really much that I would rather have than these. In occasions where you're really far away from targets like snipers, they can be a bit fiddly to try and get those pops. That's basically it. And I mean, yeah, they're not great into carapace, but nothing on this class is, by default. You're going to have to buff it with stims and talents. My thoughts on this as a class weapon. I have to be honest, this is really not my type of weapon. I don't care about gang aesthetics. I like military things. However, like everything Fatshark seems to do with weaponry, they've once again made something I can't help but like. As a weapon within the internal meta on the class, they're very reliable in melee builds and very strong in ranged builds. They satisfy the class fantasy of aggressive and high-speed play. They're quite fun to shoot and quite useful across any difficulty. But let's get into the polish, sound design, and implementation. Polish. As far as polish goes, I only have a few minor animation issues that I expect Fatshark will be cleaning up for launch day. We'll have to see if that proves true, because I'll certainly make a note of it if there are a lot of failed polish points on this and other weapons when we get to my buy or nah video. Still, unlike the stub automatics at time of recording, there's nothing I noticed in most of my games that was actually genuinely cumbersome or sticky in my animations where I feel like the weapon broke in some way. And overall, the weapon feels excellent with bouncy, impactful recoil that can be controlled if you know how to pull, which feels nice. Sound design. The dualies are silenced, and they sound like it. They have a satisfying, but not necessarily fully quiet, clicking and clacking sound as they fire. It sounds like the expected report from a silenced weapon, with subsonic ammunition. It's satisfying and hits in a way that's hard not to enjoy. The reload audio is also chunky with great metallic clicks with a touch of echo that makes these weapons feel heartily mechanical. Implementation. I really wish I could have fired these one on each trigger rather than having a hip fire and brace fire mode for left mouse and right mouse. However, with built-in run and gun, solid damage, and an excellent fire rate, these guns feel at least like they have a place in the game, specifically a high speed, low drag kind of place. I mean, look at this slide. Outro. Thank you all for visiting. I hope you are enjoying the work I have put in to deliver useful guides and all the new stuff so you can party hard on launch day if you decide to pick up the class. Warm regards.
Reginald.
It's very important to me to take a moment and recognize the people who have been supporting my channel all this time. Thank you so much to a rando dude and Joseph Davison for your significant contribution to this channel and its longevity. As Oathmaker level members, you guys have done a lot for this channel. Also to Monolith for becoming my first Savant level member and also inventing the whole level. I really appreciate that a lot. Here's your Comic Sans. And to Fluff, Zimisk3, and Monolith Mask for your support as Adept level members. You know how much this means to me and I really appreciate it. Lastly, but not leastly, to everyone else who has supported my channel, and especially to Vinny for your continued support of my streams, thank you so much. The channel would not be the same without all of you supporting it, and I'm really, really grateful. I look forward to continuing to try and cover interesting topics on this channel, and I've got plenty of stuff kind of lined up that I'd like to do. So thanks so much, everyone.